Hello YouTube, Shintigercurl here, that dude in the straw hat, bringing you yet another awesome video. Now, I do get a lot of questions from people who ask me what my favorite fanfiction is, because I'm a fanfiction author. They're like, hey, what other fanfiction do you read, guy? And I'm like, okay. It's kind of a loaded question because I've been reading fanfiction since, well, I was in high school, and that was a long time ago when I first discovered fanfiction, and before I actively started writing it. But I decided that I wanted to do some videos highlighting certain fanfictions that I do read quite a bit. Some that made it into my personal library of favorite fanfics that I actually read. Now, contrary to what a lot of people and a lot of my friends believe, fanfiction is not all terrible. I mean, there are some terrible, I'm sorry, I need a drink. Terrible fanfictions out there. I'm not even going to name some of them because I don't want to blind you folks. But there are also some legitimately good, almost artistically great fanfics out there. And I've run into quite a few of them. Some that I would say is better than my own work. So I hope these videos, I don't even have a title for these. Hopefully I do have a title for these videos by the time I put this up. I hope they give you some idea and for those of you who've never read fanfiction, open your eyes and give these ones a shot. Or those of you who do read fanfiction, these are some suggested ones for you to check out. So, of course, today my first one is going to be one I've read many times over the years. It's been around for a long time. It's probably one of the ones that inspired me to change up my writing a bit, make it a bit more professional, and streamline it a bit. But if you couldn't tell by the picture on the screen, this one is based off Bleach, a manga by Tite Kubo. I'm not even gonna get into the premise. If you've clicked on the video, then you already know what the hell this is about. So let's get to the fanfic itself. The title of it is called Between Me and Thee, written by Kurokuchiki. That's the author. I will provide the link in the description to their profile. It is currently 40 chapters long, 483,000 words. That's a long one, with reviews up to over 1,400. Faves include about 800, follows little under 800. It was originally published in October 27th, 2010, and its last update was November 16th, 2014. Now, as I've said, if you couldn't tell by the video, this one is an ichiruki, or Ichigo and Rukia pairing fic. And it is an aka alternate universe fic. It's based not so much as an alternate universe, like it takes place in a universe where the characters are in a medieval setting or a modern day setting with no supernatural elements. No, this one is more along the lines of a retelling of certain story points. Now, for this one, the retelling part is merely how after Ichigo Kurosaki loses his Soul Reaper powers at the end of at some point in the manga, at the end of the Winter War, when he beats Aizen with his final Getsuga Tensho, but starts to lose his powers until he is unable to become a Soul Reaper or even see or hear the voices of the dearly departed. That includes his best friend and the woman who saved and changed his life, Rukia Kuchiki. Now, the story starts with Ichigo meandering through his life about 2 or 3 years after those events, where his life is sort of gotten to the point where he's just working through the day. I mean, he just lost his best friend, and now he's just working through, just going through the motions of living. So, anyway, back in the Soul Society, Rukia has been named a liaison to the real world, so she would be stationed there indefinitely. This means the reunion between Ichigo and Rukia, which didn't doesn't go exactly the way you think. It's actually very emotional and bitter towards the beginning, because Ichigo is obviously angry that not only did Rukia not tell him he was coming, but he thinks that she forgot all about him, and Rukia trying to maintain a professional atmosphere about her without giving in to her feelings about how much she enjoys Ichigo's company. Afterwards, after they settle their beef between each other, they become nearly inseparable. Rukia moves into Ichigo's home. At first has a sort of adversarial relationship with Ichigo's sisters, but that they grow out of that. Ichigo's father, Ishin, is very accepting of her, even calling her his third daughter, and she even calling him father in a way. Now, this isn't romance off the bat, because this is what I refer to as a romantic friendship, in that it is a friendship that is deep and abiding and intimate between two people that borderlines on romance. I've mentioned this before in previous videos, specifically calling out pearl shipping in this regard, and this one excels at it. There are so many moments between them that could be construed as being romantic, but neither of them are aware of the depth of feeling they have for each other. Even Ichigo at one point questions what kind of love he has for Rukia. He admits that he loves her, but he's not sure of the kind of love that it is, and that's very interesting. So they remain friends, and Ichigo eventually gets his powers back, not in the way you think, because this takes place before all the events of the manga after the Winter War. So Fullbringers and the whole Fullbringer arc and Steinrenners and all that other stuff completely gone. None of that is mentioned, for the better, because I think this tells an actually better story than the manga. For the most part, the characterizations between Ichigo and Rukia are very, very interesting. It's just an expansion on their relationship. They do fight and they do bicker a lot, but as you know, it's not so much serious as not adversarial, just more of the bond they share with each other, in that they can just do this kind of stuff, and they both, as someone put it in the story itself, they act without saying words, that they just do things between each other without having to share any words at all. It's a lot of subtext. And they don't even hook up or become an official couple for a long time, but it's a build up to that, and it feels good to actually see them when they share their first kiss. I'm not going to say when or where that first kiss takes place. I'm just going to leave it for that. There are quite a few action scenes, including one where Rukia achieves Bankai. And surprisingly, her Bankai outfit is remarkably similar, if not downright the same, as it is in the manga proper. And keep in mind, this Rukia getting her Bankai came out years before she attained it in the manga, which was just last year. So maybe either Kubo has been reading a lot of fan fiction, or his story is just that damn predictable that someone could do something like that. But anyway, what else? The writing is immaculate. There are a few mistakes here and there, but overall it is a very beautifully and well-written story. I am jealous of Kurokuchiki's talent with writing, and she shows her abilities very well in this magnificent magnificent read. I mean, if you are a fan of Bleach or well-written stories, this one is a must. I mean, I have gone back and read this story many times just because it's so done. The pacing it's slow, but it's that good kind of slow, that proper build-up, like that you can get from a good story. Now, as for characterizations, for the most part, most of the characters are portrayed as they are in the series proper, but there are a few characters who are OOC, or out of character. So when they portray them, that's completely different from how they are in the manga. So the ones that come to mind are Renji, who is becomes something who is transformed into a womanizing, chauvinistic pig who just assumes that Rukia would go out with him because they were old friends, and it results in him getting his ass beat. I'm not gonna say by who, but it's kind of cathartic in the way that he's portrayed in this series. Byakuya is kind of not portrayed badly, but he's kinder and more understanding and more tolerant of Ichigo. So much so that he firmly believes that after a point he wants Ichigo to marry his little sister, because I believe that he believes that he will cherish her as the princess that he thinks that she is. Chad and Uryu pretty much stay the same, as well as many other characters. What's his name? I can't forget his name. Ichigo's perverted friend. Well, he does something in the book. I mean, in the story that's kind of jerkish. So Ichigo has to straighten his shit out. But I have to say the two that are the most out of character are Tatsuki and Orihime. Now, Tatsuki's been portrayed as thinking that she knows the best for Ichigo and believes that Ichigo would be much happier if he hooked up with Orihime. And in that regard, she kind of treats Rukia like an intruder, like a stranger who just comes into his life, causes him nothing but pain and trouble and sorrow, and just wants her to leave. In that regard, she just wants her to leave, and it even goes so far as to do some very petty and catty shit that ends up getting her ass kicked, because Rukia is not to be trifled with. Orihime is a bit more ditzy, but more obsessive over Ichigo. Like, she wants to get the chance to know him better, but she doesn't really get the chance, and she kind of becomes disillusioned. At one point, she actually has a mental breakdown that Ichigo doesn't want to be with her. So there's that. But other than that, it's still a well-written story, and I would seriously, if you are fans of Tatsuki and Orihime, I would avoid this, because they're not really portrayed in a very positive light. They're still Ichigo's friends, but they just do and say some shit that are really just borderline, just this really, really out of character. So if you're fans of both of them, I leave this one alone. But if you are a fan of ichiruki, or if you are just a fan of well-written fan fiction, definitely give this one a try. I will leave a link in the description of not only the profile, the author's profile, but also the link to the actual story, so you really should check it out. I'm not sure if I want to continue this, but if you really want me to continue this, leave a comment below. You already know my Twitter, #CaptainLuffy. Supporting the channel, as always, hitting the like button helps. Share this video with anyone else who is a fan of good fan fiction, and hopefully, if this is popular enough, I may share with you some more of my favorites, my favorite fan fiction. Or if you have a fan fiction that you think I would like, just give me a ring or leave a comment below, and I'll see what it is. I won't read all of it, because I only read fan fiction for series that I actually like, or at least understand or at least watch or understand the plot of. Like, I have never played the Halo games, and I'm not really interested in Halo or Twilight or any of that other stuff. But just leave it below. I will read it, and I will definitely see if it's worth a recommendation. So yeah, that is a fan fiction that I really think you should give it a try. Between Me and Thee by Kurokuchiki.